Okay, so before we start, it might be good to give a bit of an introduction and context for this webinar. So we are Irish International Freight Association, Ireland's national representative body for freight forwarders and customs brokers, with about 150 members nationwide. This webinar itself is part of the second annual Logistics and Supply Chain Skills Week, which is the Department of Transport initiative, which has a dual aim of creating an awareness of freight forwarding logistics as an industry, but it's also there to try and encourage more people to choose freight logistics as a career choice. This initiative itself is supported by Minister Jack Chambers, who recognises the contribution of the freight and logistics sector to Ireland. At a launch event earlier this week, Minister Chambers was quoted as saying that the logistics supply chain sector underpins Ireland's economy. It is vital to the success of Irish businesses and to the life of Irish citizens and communities. International crises such as COVID-19, the war in Ukraine, and recent events in the Red Sea continue to highlight the crucial importance of this often invisible process without which the economy does not function. Minister Chambers goes on to say that there is a severe labour and skills shortage in this sector. We need more young people, more women, and more diverse talent to consider education and careers in logistics and supply chain. And to be fair, this is the purpose of events like this and webinars such as we're experiencing now. We working in the industry know of the good work completed by freight forwarders, of the creativity that goes into solving complex cargo movements. We don't read enough about this in newspapers or see it on TV, so it's up to us to shout about our industry and the work of our colleagues. This webinar seeks to shine a light on what it's like to work in freight forwarding, to hear from people who perform cargo movements on a daily basis, and find out about their job and what they enjoy most about it. Our recording of the session will be made available through the Logistics Supply Chain Skills Week website, and it will hopefully be a useful resource for secondary school guidance counsellors and those researching alternative careers online. Within IIFA, we're excited and grateful to Damian, Dana, and David for agreeing to take part in this webinar and to have taken the time to prepare an insight into the industry based on their own experiences. I'll hand over to our panelists now, and perhaps we'll start by looking at the job specifications that we have on hand on this webinar today. Among the panel are the following job titles. We have an export manager, an Air and Sea freight operator and coordinator, and a farmer operations. So David, we might start with you as Air and Sea freight operator and coordinator with Hawthorn Logistics. Can you please tell us a little bit about what this role entails for you?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Sorry about the camera, guys. Can't get it to work through Zoom. I'm trying my best, but yeah, I'll just continue anyway. So as Seamus said there, what does the job title entail for me? My job title is Air and Sea Freight Operator and Coordinator. I suppose that's the full, the full, very detailed title there. But in my job, I work in a team. We kind of in my company we do a lot of shipments in a lot of different modes. We don't tend to specialize in just exports or just imports. Generally, it would depend on the customers we'd have. But my job consists of basically organizing the shipments from the customer requesting them to quoting them to customs clearance to creating the documents to organizing the delivery collection, organizing with our agents in the destination country or the origin country if it's an import, and securing the rates, booking the space, and the entire process really, as I'm sure you'll all know. But I deal with a lot of customers in a lot of different sectors, medical devices, pharma. We deal with a lot of seafood, a lot of oysters, lobsters. We have a big customer that deals a lot with antennas going all around the world, US, China, all around Europe. Others deal in clothing items and a lot of IT as well. So that's basically the general overview of my job title there for the first question. So I'll hand over to Dana or Damian, whoever's next here, if that's okay.
Perfect. So my job entails, my job title is Pharmaceutical Operations Controller, and my job focuses on looking after all operations for ocean exports and air freight imports of pharmaceutical shipments. So I only deal with pharma products. My daily tasks range from planning what cargo will go into containers to placing bookings to customs clearance and arranging transport for shipments. My tasks are quite broad and no day ever really looks the same.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Dana. And Damien, you're kind of slightly in the industry slightly longer than the others. You're the export manager for Emerald Freight, is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Super. So what does that job entail as a manager?
So the job as a manager is, especially in a SME, it is a lot of operations work itself in bookings and just about what David had said there in exports, air freight, road freight, ocean freight. Then on top of that, there's also the management aspect of it, which there's obviously a large amount of different things, rostering staff, making sure that the staff are not on, or at the same time, there is the invoicing side of things. That you need to make sure that the staff are invoicing. You need to make sure that the jobs that you are handling are being invoiced on time. You're receiving costs in from suppliers. It's managing suppliers. So you're making sure that the service levels are up to scratch. It's managing any customers' queries or concerns. So there's a large amount of work that goes into management and operations at the same time.
Right, so the overall bigger picture with quite a lot of work on top of it as well. Okay, fair play to you.
Yeah.
And if I might just kind of dovetail to kind of branch off from the same question here. So obviously you were in operations for a while before you got to the management role. How is it that you found yourself qualified to make that advance forward?
So I was actually lucky enough in the terms of when I was much younger, I was given an opportunity by one of my bosses to become a manager, and so he had the faith in me to take the step up, and that's what it was. Like now, for me, at the time, I was asking the question, and I asked him the same question. I said to him, do you think that's a young person? I think I was 20 at the time. Do you think a 20-year-old is able to sit in this management role and go ahead and do what you're expecting? And his answer was absolutely. So that instilled a lot of confidence in me that he was able to have the confidence to give me that role. And yeah, that was it. Didn't look back from that. I just went on, hard work. It's there's a lot of responsibility added onto your normal role with the manager. But yeah, you keep pushing and work hard at it every single day. And yeah, it's you just grow, you grow and grow, and you don't ever stop, of course.
Yeah, no, fair play. I think you have the right attitude as well to you've made yourself not feel ready for an opportunity, but of course always take it because you never know when it comes around again. So obviously that's worked out well for you. Fair play.
Yep.
Guys, thanks very much. Let's move on to the next question now. I'd like to ask each of you to perhaps describe a standard working day, or maybe what it's like to handle a regular shipment, so we get a bit of an insight into what your let's say operations are like within freight forwarding. Perhaps Dana, we might start with you for this question, if that's okay.
Yes, that's perfect. Like I mentioned before, my day never looks the same. I'm always working on new shipments, new bookings that are coming in. With pharmaceutical cargo, the first thing we have to do is look at the product's requirements. So obviously the temperature range that the cargo needs to be shipped at, if it's DG, the value of the cargo that we're going to be shipping with, all these things come into play and restrict us on how we place the bookings and how we plan. Which is always quite interesting. Another large aspect of my daily job is reporting and making sure that systems are showing the correct information. This allows us to communicate quite well with our customers. We try and have 2 weekly meetings with one of our large pharma customers, and that just helps us strengthen the relationship with them and also show that we are continuously trying to meet their KPI requirements.
Oh, super. Okay, thanks very much for that. And then I might move on to David. So you're kind of your job title would suggest that you're kind of split between air and sea freight operations. Would you like to describe your day-to-day role for us, please?
Yeah, so similar to what Dana said, I need to assess the situation and see what exactly needs to be prepared for the shipment. If I take an example like an export shipment for one of our customers. We'll receive the request for the quote. Then I'll go out to the airlines or the GSAs and request an air freight rate, and then go to our agents in the destination country for if it's an export to the US, for example. Go to our agent in the US and get the rate and put together a quote for our customer, provide them with the quote, and once they give us the go ahead, same as usual, organize the collection of the shipment, organize preparing the documents, of course, the master and the house area bills, doing the customs clearance as well, export, and the same if it's an import, organizing it, and bringing it to the airport then as well, of course, and then dealing with our agent when it arrives at the destination. And we do work with a lot of agents in a lot of countries that are over time, we build up relationships with them, and we can trust them to handle the cargo on the other side. Typically that would be it, and then following up with all the shipments. That will be not just one a day, like multiple every day, multiple exports and multiple imports, and following up on all that needs to be done with each shipment. That's basically a working day for me.
Yeah, super. I think I'm glad you mentioned the word trust there, because like when it comes to sending you've got a client obviously trusting you folks to handle their cargo on their behalf and do it in an efficient manner. But at the same time, you have to have that partner in the destination country who you can yourself trust to handle that cargo just as carefully as you would be it over here. So yeah, I think it's a good point of reference there as well. Fair play too. I might move on to Damian. What's your day like as a manager? It sounded stressful there a little earlier with a lot to take on board. So hopefully it'll be
So pretty much what everybody else has said on operational sides. I like to get in a little earlier than the normal start time, just to get into the emails. With the time zones that we deal with and different time zones, we've got agents from China across to the US, and so you often find a lot of your instructions or a lot of your emails are coming in overnight. Now it's for me getting in early, getting onto these emails and just seeing what your day sort of looks like. So that by the time the rest of the staff come in, you sort of have an idea of where you could head.
Okay, very good.
That's the early start of the day. What we do is shortly thereafter, we just get onto tracking the shipments, making sure for the day that they are where they're supposed to be. Customers are all updated and they're all aware of what's going on with the shipments, good or bad. And then we move along throughout the day. There's always a steady supply of emails and jobs coming through. There's inquiries and all the rest. So that's sort of throughout the day. And then also trying to get the balance of having your shipments ready to go up to the airport to meet deadlines, or down to the ocean ports to meet their deadlines, and planning ahead. So we'd like to sort of work ahead, but at the same time, at any given time of the day, everybody will probably agree, is you can get thrown a spanner, and you just gotta make it work. You gotta drop everything. You gotta deal with this urgent shipment or this delay or something like that. So there isn't anybody in this industry, I can confidently say, that has the exact same day every day. You don't get to work and know exactly what you're going to finish or accomplish that day. It's always different.
Okay, so always fresh and exciting. I like the way you reference things going wrong and having to react right away. Dana just kind of give a silent nod there as if to say yes, like in there. So yes, I think you're all kind of working at the same experience there. Fair play. I might take a step back for the next question. Now we've kind of got an idea for what it's like to actually work in the industry. I might just ask you folks, how does it came to work in freight forwarding? Like, is it an industry that you had been aware of before and, let's say, actively wanted to pursue it, or did you find some other way to find yourself working here? Dana, I might start with you for this question, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. I was always planning to go into the logistics industry. I have a degree, honors degree in strategic management, supply chain management, and project management. So that was my plan. It wasn't exactly freight forwarding, but when I moved to Ireland 2 years ago, I started looking for jobs, and the opportunity arose at Renus, and I thought this was a great company to start at and work for. And since then, I've really loved the job. It's been a great company to be a part of, and I really don't regret anything.
Okay, great stuff. So you had that awareness of what freight forwarding was before you joined it. Yeah.
Yes, I had that awareness. Obviously, you learn a little bit about it while you're studying, but I don't think you really understand any job until you're actually physically doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Good stuff. And I want to ask the same question to yourself, Damian.
Yeah, so I was actually lucky enough in the secondary school that I was in. They offered maritime studies as an actual subject. Now, there was at the time only 2 schools in the country that were offering this subject. And now maritime studies is mostly to do with ocean movements of freight and all different types of vessels and the world geography in terms of ports and all of this. It was an absolute great subject. I loved it to bits. And it gave me a little idea of a part of the industry. And so once I had left school, it was something that I had an idea on. And I got a job in the industry as well at the time. It wasn't exactly clearing or anything. It was in a warehousing company, road transport.
Okay, yeah.
It was into Africa at the time. And then there's loads of people that say it, that once you get into this industry, you don't get out. And yeah, I moved over to Ireland about 6 years ago, and I had an open fresh page to go and look for anything, any job. But it didn't matter that I was across a different continent. I was pulled back into it at Emerald Freight. And yeah, so I did know about it partially before getting into it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then yeah, it's the whole different processes, different departments and positions, and there's so much involved in the industry. It's not just limited to an office job, or there's warehouse work. There's everybody in the whole industry who's moving freight. So it's really exciting, and there's different opportunities involved in it.
Very good, yeah. I'm glad to mention that teamwork aspect. That's something I'm going to come on to in a few minutes as well, because it's not a job any one person can do on their own. And I'm glad to mention that interesting point there about maritime studies as a subject in secondary school. Not something we have on our radar here at all, but it's might be a worthwhile initiative to perhaps see if we could introduce in Ireland. Because I think if people open up their minds to the idea of the greater geography of the world and the greater idea of how cargo movements, like I think it would definitely attract people. Now, David, you're in the industry perhaps I think 2 or 3 years, I think it is, and you have a very interesting way that you found your way into the industry.
Yeah, so I was kind of completely different. I started as an apprentice. So really what happened was I was working in manufacturing and factories, and I could kind of see we were making ventilators at the time, and you could kind of see that they were going all around the world, and I didn't really know much or anything about freight forwarding or logistics, and that was where it kind of opened up to me. So I decided then I wanted a career change, and I wanted to become qualified in a job or in a career. So I researched apprenticeships because there was a lot of new ones. This was in summer 2021. So there was a lot of new apprenticeships coming in Ireland at the time. So I was researching because I liked the idea of an apprenticeship, learning in class and on the job as well. So I found the LAA apprenticeship, the Logistics Associate Apprenticeship, and I really liked the sound of it. So I signed up, and the next step was to find a job. So I did some interviews, and I was accepted at Hawthorn's, and I started then, and I did the course. So it was basically 4 days in work, 1 day in college, and it was kind of a combination, like some of the things in college I was doing in work and vice versa. So it was a very, very good program. I finished it last May. I did my last exam, graduated just before Christmas. So I was very happy. It was a great way to to get into the industry because I was learning on the job as much as I was in college. So it was a great combination, and no, I would definitely recommend the apprenticeship 100%. And when I finished, then I decided I want to keep going with my studies. So I'm now doing a level 8 higher diploma in business and supply chain management in SETU. It's a fully online course. So I'm doing it, still working full time, and I'm doing it in the evenings. It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it's just 1 year. So I had done my apprenticeship, 1 more year to get a level 8, and I'll finish that now in the coming weeks. All going well anyway. But
Yeah, good
yeah,
stuff.
so I would definitely recommend the apprenticeship. It was a great way to come into the industry, and
Yeah.
going from knowing almost nothing about logistics to now being 2.5, nearly 3 years in the industry, and I love it. Yeah.
Oh, fair play. Good stuff. Good stuff. It actually kind of dovetails into the next question I have here as well. Freight forwarding is often described as, let's say, a knowledge-heavy job, that there can be a lot involved in an operations role, and they got to date, stay up to date with different carrier services and availability. So across your first few weeks, David, how were you supported as you kind of learned into industry? How, like, did you have colleagues who were happy to kind of show you along the way?
Yeah,
and
yeah. Well, I would definitely say, I suppose, because I came as an apprentice, I wasn't expected to know anything or many things when I started. So I suppose the first few weeks were really like kind of a test of character more than a test of what my knowledge was, because I was completely fresh.
Yeah.
So what I did a lot of when I started, I did a lot of shadowing my colleagues, watching exactly what they're doing it and how they're doing it. And I found I learned through repetition, really, like getting to understand exactly what I was doing and why I was doing it, more than just go and do it over and over again. So I found I learned that way, and the team were great here to support me and everything, and
Yeah.
get me to understand exactly what I was doing. But yeah, I had a great start, and it's still going great. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Yeah, fair play. And Dana, same question to yourself. How did you find your first few weeks? And I suppose, did your studies in strategic management help you prepare for the role?
My studies gave me a good grounding, I think, but like I mentioned before, you don't really know what you're getting into, and you don't know it all until you're actually maybe doing it. When I started at Renus 2 years ago, I started in the LCL Ocean Freight Imports department, and the team was so welcoming. They really took me under their wing and taught me as much as they could, which was just brilliant. So when I moved to the farm freight department, I felt really confident in my forwarding skills, and it was really the next step for me was learning about the pharmaceutical requirements that the cargo needs. And the team was brilliant again. I had the same experience. They really taught me a lot, and still to this day I can say I'm continuing to learning. I don't think you ever see it all in freight forwarding. You are constantly surprised by the next shipment, which is a really nice aspect of the job. It's never boring.
Fair play. That's good news. All right. Yeah, good stuff. And then same question to yourself, Damian. I suppose it's yeah. How, did you find the transition into the industry difficult, or had your secondary school kind of given you a bit of a prompt or a bit of a help as you began?
Yeah. So you did mention that it's a knowledge heavy involvement, and absolutely is. At the same time, there is the world of knowledge that sits around you in experienced people, and majority of the people are there to help you and willing to give you all the knowledge that they've got. So I mean, this is something that I've picked up over not only in Ireland but in South Africa as well. It's people are always looking to help you. So my secondary school bit of education did help. I was hired into a role where the person who was leaving was going to be training me, and the day I started was the day that he didn't come back. I had a month that I was supposed to be training under him, but he legged it, so he didn't come back. And so I was thrown into the boss's office, little desk in her office, and I had to learn very quickly. but at the same time, I mean, everybody was very helpful. Everybody was there to hand you all their filing, amongst other things.
Right, you've an awful lot of sink or swim situations in your life. Fair play to you.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I have two more questions I would ask you guys, and I'll open the floor to questions from the audience as well. We've kind of touched on the whole idea of, let's say, learning from other people and having teams around you. And so there are, like, let's say there's many different players involved in supply chain movements, and successful cargo movements are often regarded as results of team efforts. So how true would you guys say that is within your own roles? Dana, you're a pharmaceutical operation, so you must have a big team behind you to work on that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with that statement more. I mean, I could not agree with that statement more. If I think off the top of my head, all the parties that are involved in our shipments, we speaking about trucking companies, warehousing companies, the consignee, the shipper, Renus offices at destination, Renus offices at origin, depending where the cargo is. Those are all just the parties that come into play on a daily basis. And our role as a freight forwarder is to ensure that we all come together and work together and synergize to successfully move this cargo. So as freight forwarders, we kind of controlling each one and giving each party a direction so that we get the cargo there at the right time, at the right place. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And David, same question for yourself. So between your air and sea freight movements, do you find you have a lot of colleagues who support your work as well, or even parties outside of Hawthorn that you'd have to kind of hook up with and connect with to make your cargo movements work?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, both within Hawthorn and outside Hawthorn. As I said earlier, with the agents that we deal with in other countries, with the trust we build up a lot of trust, and it really takes a team effort to get a shipment in the smoothest process possible, really. And then within the company, it's amazing here. Everybody, if there's any problem, we just nearly say it out loud, and someone else has encountered it or can help with it. In many different aspects, it could be a problem with a shipment. As I said, there could be many different problems, and no two shipments are nearly the same. And especially with like customs clearances, sometimes things can be different, and we might have never seen it before. And other colleagues can help and give a helping hand and get us to solve the problem quicker and in a better way. So yeah, I would say it's a major part of the job is the team effort.
Yeah,
It really is. Yeah.
great stuff. Yeah, no, that's definitely encouraging to hear. And while I'm asking you the same question, Damian, perhaps you might focus on your role as a manager. Do you have to you find yourself having to, I don't know what way to put this really, work a little harder, or I'd say provide more support to your operation staff to as let's say the team leader, I suppose, as the manager.
Yeah, so I agree with your statement 100%. It takes everybody to get these shipments going right. Yes, it does take a little bit more as the head of the department to get it going. At the same time, I challenge the people around me to pick up on each other's, not necessarily mistakes, but areas where they might be able to do better. And this is including myself. I mean, if they see something that I could have possibly done better, raise the question. We're all trying to make each other's jobs and lives easier, and it's the best way. I mean, there shouldn't be any fear to say, well, oh, no, I need to tell my manager that he's done something wrong. There's absolutely no problem with that. The more we know, the more we can help each other, the better. As well as in terms of our suppliers, like I deal a lot with cross trade shipments where it might be from two different countries out of Ireland. And the suppliers, I mean, we need to have trust in them that they're going to complete the jobs on our behalf, on our name. It's our contract at the end of the day. And so yeah, it's fully integrated into that. Like we need trust and all the rest in that.
Great. Yeah, no, fair play. That's got that supportive team spirit there to collaborate and kind of re-examine what you do to do better next time. So no, that's 100%. Okay, I suppose I've got a few questions here, but I won't hog you guys. I'll just have one more for myself. I might just ask the kind of standard question. What is it you enjoy most about working with freight forwarding? That's open for anyone to jump in on there.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. For myself, I mean, there's loads of good in it, but the different types of people that you get to meet, I mean, you'll deal with people from all over the world and from all walks of life. In just in your office, you might have different nationalities. You might have different people coming from different backgrounds, different classes, and it's nice to get working together with all the different types of people that you get to meet.
That's definitely very positive. Yeah, good stuff.
For me, my favorite thing about the job is the sense of accomplishment you get from almost closing the shipment or getting the shipment to its final destination. It's amazing because you like start you at times you can be working on the shipment when the cargo is still being manufactured, and you see it like grow almost, and all the parties getting involved and everyone doing their job to get just this piece of cargo to a destination. And we play a crucial part in people's businesses, which I find really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Sense of accomplishment is a crucial part. I mean, I often like look at freight forwarding as you're literally kind of using your hands to carry cargo across the world, and just the, as you say, the sense of achievement with that must be immense. So no, I'm glad you mentioned that. David, would you like to speak about what you like about the freight forwarding?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's just so different. No 2 days the same,
Right.
the same as every shipment. Every shipment can be different. You know, there's so much that can change. Like every day, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what problems will arise, but then the satisfaction of solving the problems, I suppose, as well, is a major part of the job, really, overall. And building, as Damian said, building relationships with all the people along the way, all your customers and all your suppliers. It's just a great industry, really, when you look at it that way.
Yeah, I know. That's good. I think it's right. It is good to be able to have pride in your work and to at the end of the week say, look, I went in at the start of the week and by the end of the week I've accomplished X, Y, and Z, and to have that satisfaction, that pride, and that kind of team spirit as well. So I'm glad you're all getting such positive interactions with the industry. Okay, so I'll pull back now. I'd like to welcome the audience here today. If anybody else would like to ask any questions of our panelists, please feel free to either unmute yourself and speak openly or send a message to the chat box. You're all very welcome to ask away there.
Seamus, sorry, Liam Davis here from WPD.
Sure.
First of all, may I compliment Dana, David, and Damian. If that is the standard of the character of people coming into our industry, then our industry is safe. As Damian said earlier, I'm 54 years in the business. I came into it, and you don't get out of it, you know. But it is a good industry, and it's loyal, I think, to the people who are in it. My question to all three would be to ask them what they believe the level of value that training, support, mentoring, and educational development has played and plays a role within their development in companies or in the industry. Thanks.
Hi Liam, how's it going? Yes, education and upskilling is something that I don't think you ever stop doing. In terms of, for example, dangerous goods shipments, you got every couple of years you retraining, new legislation, new rules, and it's something that is vital for the industry to keep on training and retraining on all of these different aspects.
Yeah, I suppose I would say in regards to like being in college, doing the apprenticeship, it definitely relates to the job in a lot of ways. It can definitely reflect the work, or do my assignments often can use some examples from work in the assignments. It really does reflect. And I look forward to upskilling, and obviously, as Damian said, it can be in aspects of the job, not just in college, the likes of DG and everything like that. So it's definitely plays a big part in the development of the industry.
I would like to add that my education was great, and I think it gave me a really good grounding for the industry, and I had an idea of what to expect. But training within the company is crucial. You learn a lot on the job. You gain a lot of experience on the job, and I think without that, it's not a job that you could do. So learning from your colleagues is really crucial. Doing courses is crucial. Keeping up to date with things that are changing, like DG, any legislation that's changing. It's important for the industry we're in.
Thanks very much, and wishing you all a good future in the industry and a long future in the industry. Thank you.
I'll just check the chat box. Any questions there? Everybody else any questions? Please feel free to just shout away. Out there. No, I think you guys must have covered what everyone was hoping to hear. So fair play to you. I suppose maybe might just this as a positive way to perhaps end the webinar. This webinar is going to be recorded and made available to different kind of secondary schools, guidance counselors, so they can share it with people who would be interested in considering a career in freight forwarding and finding a pathway into roles that you folks have now. What would you say to somebody who's kind of watching a webinar like this or has looked into supply chain logistics and thinking, God, maybe this is for me, maybe it's not? What would you say to them to kind of encourage them to make the choice to step forward?
I would definitely say go for 100%. It's a very rewarding industry, really, and you get to. It's an industry that's all over the world. You can go any country in the world with it.
Yeah.
That's the one point. That's the major kind of selling point, I suppose, when I decided to do the apprenticeship, was that I could go anywhere in the world with it, and it wouldn't be a problem. So that was the major thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, opening up the world. That's a fair point, all right. Yeah, the opportunity to kind of see beyond your surroundings is definitely a major draw for this, all right. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I would think, I would say definitely do it. It's a great industry to be in. At times challenging, but your day is always exciting. You're interacting with new people. It's a really, really rewarding job, like everyone mentioned. It's a great industry to be a part of.
Right. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, Seamus, I think that coming into the industry as a youngster, it would be good to come in and consider this a career instead of a job. Once you start doing this, the enjoyment becomes tenfold. So I would recommend it fully to anybody looking to get into it, and just to enjoy it and embrace all the changes and all the differences. It's something that you get into, and you, like we've just mentioned, you learn and you never stop. You keep learning and learning and learning. So that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose with that as well comes the idea of an evolving challenge as well. You would never want to get kind of complacent or bored. So I think, yes, so much of freight forwarding is dependent on or is dictated by, let's say, political scenarios or different things going on above us, and the freight forwarders react to that. So nobody could have foreseen that in early 2020. You'd have quite the challenge in, let's say, getting PPE gear around the world and having your shipments really knocked on their head. But it was a challenge, and challenge the industry rose to, and a challenge for you guys to resolve and get that job satisfaction. Who knows what's ahead, but it's certainly a challenge for you folks to tackle, and know that you'll be able to do it all right. Cool. Well, look, there's no more questions here, so I think we'll bring this to a close. Thank you very much for taking the time today to come to this webinar and to share your own experiences. And I think Liam paid you a lovely compliment in saying that if you folks are the standard of the future of Irish freight forwarding in the industry, are certainly in good hands. So fair play, Liam. I'm glad you mentioned that. And yeah, definitely, folks, you really kind of raised the profile of the industry and really kind of shine a good light on the good work done by freight forwarders, and you've set a good example for your younger colleagues. So thank you very much for your contributions today, and wish you all the best in the future.
Thank
you, everyone. Thank you, Seamus.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye now.